And Zeph's mic is muted.
Oopsie daisies.
No,
Hello.
it wasn't me.
You can go again. Do it again. Do it again. I'm sure it was great. You start
Welcome
again.
back,
Come on.
everybody, to the WCS Challenger for Oceania and Southeast Asia, the Open Qualifier for Montreal. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I need to get it together, man. I'm slipping.
Oh, you know what? I think we need to start the broadcast over. Can we roll back these brackets?
Cancel it. Yep, reseed.
We're doing so well.
Alrighty, we are in the losers round 8, the final match of the lower bracket. It is going to be Probe versus Demi, the rematch from the semi-finals of the upper bracket. So this should be a pretty good one.
That's right. The winners semis. And Probe ended up closing it up at a pretty convincing 2-0 there. There wasn't, a whole lot of brilliance from Demi Love in that series. He played regular Zerg against a guy that's all about the regular PvZ and got completely wiped off. I think game 1 was pretty close, but game 2 certainly didn't look like it. I'm keen to see how this one goes through. I know you two guys are about to cast it. What are your thoughts of the series, Pig?
I think this is going to be a good match. Good to see the rematch as well. That's always the exciting thing with these brackets. It's all about, can the Zerg come back? Can Demi change it up? Can he get some revenge here against Probe?
Yeah, that is the big question. I feel like this should hopefully be a better run for Demi. I mean, I think he's fairly good at adapting, and he probably had the time to watch Mio versus Probe as well. So he can be like, maybe that's what I should have done. I don't know, play a little crazier, but I suppose we'll find out as we are in Catalyst now. And down in the bottom right, building a pylon on the lower ground. It is Probe.
And of course, against him, up in the top left-hand side of the map, the blue Zerg player, it's Demi Love. Going to be a 16 hatch coming down here for Demi, making sure that the Probe can't block that. So speeding the hatch up because it's a small 2-player map, making sure a pylon scout wasn't able to get over there. Probe, of course, though, playing quite conservatively, only scouted after his gateway went down. So his Probe's only arriving now. And it's just really a defensive Probe scout. This is not to mess your opponent up. It's just checking what's going on, saying, okay, you've gone for a fast hatchery. I don't have to worry about any rushes. Let's check you've taken gas. And maybe even do a little bit of this drone mineral harassment. So try to occupy the mineral patch and force their drone off it. Then cancel before you pick up the 5 minerals and then start mining again. Always a nice little maneuver if you've got the spare APM, which these players, of course, have tons of free actions in this early game. Just a way to annoy your opponent, throw them off a little bit, maybe get about 20, 25 minerals worth of damage. It's not a big deal, but everything adds up.
Yeah, it certainly does. And he's just going to stroll around. Maybe check the third base location. He can tuck it away and bring it back later if he so wishes. We'll see what he decides to go for. He has been very fond of the Stargate tech so far in the PvZs we've watched him play. And it is a solid opener. You get a Phoenix, an Oracle, or maybe 2 Oracles. Get a bit of damage, you get good vision. And so long as you keep those alive, those are going to be useful units for the rest of the game. I am wondering if he's going to go with the Adept route again in this series. Because he kind of hasn't had much luck with that strategy so far.
So I was just kind of giggling. He was starting Warp Gate and then canceling it and then starting it repeatedly, which is a little game you can... Usually you might start it, cancel it to get back the money, and then start your Stargate. But then you restart it again. And hopefully they look at the Overlord, they see the Cybernetics core spinning, they say, oh, okay, it's a normal fast Warp Gate. Whereas if you see that not spinning, it's a quicker Stargate. But I feel like Probe almost knew Demi was watching it and was just kind of starting it and canceling it and starting it and canceling it. Just almost like saying, hey, buddy, I know you're looking over here. Check it out. Of course, these guys are very friendly, have known each other, competed against each other many, many times before. There's a lot of history between the two as well. And when you get in these series, there's a lot of things you're just checking. Seeing, is my opponent trying to trick me? Is something weird going on? the Phoenix first out of Probe here is going to go and hunt for Overlords. But check out the Overlord positioning of Demi. So the Phoenix is actually going to look for it on the pillar above his base. But this Overlord started running like a minute and a half ago when it saw the warp gate wasn't spinning and just went to hide on the map. And this is Demi's goal, is he doesn't want to give a single kill to this Phoenix. And Probe is going to hunt all around the map. He's queued up these attack paths, and it looks like he will find it eventually. But just an annoyance there from Demi. And it's so cool to see these high-level players do these tiny adjustments throughout the game. And it just forces their opponent to really work an extra amount to find every little bit of damage.
Yeah, so he does find himself an Overlord down here. And he's gonna be able to head out with the Oracle in just a second. Maybe get some drones if he's lucky. At the very least, keep tabs on the map. And I love that Demi's patrolling Lings basically around every path that could possibly have units come from Probe's base. It's just, he's got complete vision of that, and Probe will sort of clean that up as he sees fit, but Demi was probably gonna keep sending a Ling out here and there, just make sure he keeps tabs on what the Protoss is doing. He'll see that third base shortly if he just pokes in with the one Ling he sent down there.
And interestingly, he hasn't moved to go to the third yet, but there's +1, so we might see a Ling flood about 40-50 seconds from now, so that could be scary.
Yeah, it could do. I would definitely put a spanner in the works for Probe, and I think he could more or less assume that third's there anyway, because Probe is a third base taking kind of Protoss. He doesn't really do too much two base, at least not in recent times, so the moment he's going to back up, and there's that bunch of Lings that you were talking about. At the same time, Probe is going to come in with the Phoenix, lifts up the Queen, and then uses those two Oracles to start targeting down some drones. He is taking fire from the Slot Crawler, loses one. Will he lose the Phoenix?
Oh my lord, and the Lings at the same time are trying to break in. They're going to force some warp-ins on the natural. They aren't going to go for the third, but wow, that was great defense by Demi. And I think there was even a few drones in the orange life that got left alive there, so a bit unfortunate there for Probe not finding the damage he wanted. But on the other hand, great defense on the third base. Like, that's a moment where it's very easy to just lose that third, but the sentries, the adepts nestled in there up against the pylon, the gas, the nexus. Good setup from Probe.
Yeah, very nicely done by him. Heading back into that Colossus tech for that paper-thin army that Demi looks like he may go for. I mean, he's getting a Baneling nest now, starting to get on a bit more of that gas. Continuing with the melee upgrades, grabbing that +2. And heading into a Spire. So we'll see how this composition takes shape for Probe against what Demi's going to throw at him. Demi already grabbing himself a fourth base. And finally, we're seeing a Zerg that's starting to spread that creep out a little more aggressively. He's got some dedicated creep queens here, and that'll really help him in the defense.
Yeah, that can make a big difference, especially some of those Igos games where he got thrown off early. We're going to be big. The Colossus does get revealed there, but I actually don't think it even matters that much because he's already gone the Spire, and that tells me that Demi knows there's going to be Colossi, and I think it was the sentry on the third base that told him off. Is Probe going to see the Spire? I think he's going to see it. Oh, great scout there. And he glances at it right then as well. He sees the Spire and swaps into Disruptor Tech. This is fascinating. Just one Colossi with range, 2 Stargates go down now. I mean, this is a game of hard counters, right? If Corruptors come out to hard counter the Colossi, Void Rays are going to come out to hard counter them. But these units are very specific. Corruptors are really bad against everything that's not Colossi. Void Rays are really bad against everything that's not Corruptors. So both players have to constantly scout and not overcommit to one path.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the ball, that's for sure. Especially as this Stargate army comes up from Probe. He's dropping a stasis ward here and there to help with the defense of his base, because there are a lot of Lings and they are very quick. One slip and you can definitely lose a lot to this load of Lings. He's trying to chew down the wall here, but with another warp in, he should just be fine. There we go. He deflects that with the rest of his army. Leaves one Zealot in there for the defense. And back at home, he is churning out 9 Corruptors, a bunch mauling Bane, getting Bane speed, and even investing in the Carapace for that air army.
And +1 Flyer and Mass Phoenix. I thought it was going to be Void Rays, but it's Phoenix. So Probe says, look, Phoenix are a better unit because they can actually kind of pick up Hydras and that sort of thing, pick up Banelings. But I mean, it's something where if you have enough Phoenix, yeah, you can take down Corruptors, but you need a lot of them, so it's a big investment. Right now, Probe's ground army is still looking very bare, and that's what happens when you go for these Colossi styles, is your army just is not that huge. The Corruptors are coming in, about 10 of them over there. There's only about 8 or 9 Phoenix out so far. Who's going to win this fight? Stalker Warpin has to join in order to help push this away.
Yep, Demi floats out of there pretty quick, and Probe has to keep an eye on that, because if they come in and spray the Nexus down, it really doesn't take long for that to drop. Looks like he may be able to get a cancel here if he dives on it now, but that said, Probe is a little bit too close.
Yeah, I mean, he can still get the cancel if he wants to. Oracle goes down on the right at the same time. The Link's backing off. Mass Muters on the way now as well, and I don't think that's the right call. You know, there's so many Phoenix out, and I think Probe's just looking for an excuse to keep going Phoenix here. Muta Corruptor is definitely a good style, but Probe seems to be respecting the threat of this so much. And on a small map like this, you don't really have too many bases to take either. So we see Demi trying to expand to the middle of the map, trying to get these Mutas up. What is it, 12 Corruptors, 13 Mutas, soon to be 6 or 7 more Mutas as well. But the Phoenix reproduction started. The Fleet Beacon's here. A massive assault coming in for Demi.
Yep, he knocks down the wall there, but another Warpin continues to block some of the Lings, although a lot do still leak through. He's got a cannon in the mineral line that'll help out a little bit, but these Phoenixes have to work pretty hard to try and close the gap here to those Mutas and to those Corruptors, because that's a lot of Corruptors and they're very beefy units. A blink, it's a natural, he can't save the Nexus. It does go down, and the main base is now in danger as well.
Yeah, it is a Nexus kill. 20 Probes going down as well. Even more going down. The Mutas massacring that main base. But the Phoenix are going to isolate them. The Corruptors aren't in position. A lot of those Mutas are going to go down, but the Corruptors come back. The Phoenix starting to fall here. Probe going for a very fancy composition. But what he's ended up with is almost pure Blink Stalk of Phoenix. These units are not going to perform well against Zerglings. If he ever loses his Colossi, just Mass Ling will get the job done.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
It's dicey right now.
He's thrown that Mass Sling down to the bottom left-hand side where the 4th base of Probe is, and Probe does not want to be knocked back to 2 bases here. He's already lost a ton of Probes. He's probably going to lose a few more here as well. Looks like Probe will get back in time to clean this up, but not ideal, losing more mining time. At the same time, the air armies are still skirmishing on the right side of the map. He's going to lose a bunch of sentries here as well, and Demi's really pulling him apart.
Okay, these Muta Corruptor here are still looking very menacing. The supply count, huge for Demi. 78 drones strong. And that 4th base in the bottom left took a lot of damage. It is still alive for now. But I mean, 36 probes? Probe? Probe is on 36 probes. It's not great. In fact, it's the opposite of great. It's appalling. This position is so bad right now, economically. And that's a problem, because Phoenix are decent versus Corruptors now that he's got the range. They're not going to be good against them, though, in the fact that when you're building so many Corruptors and Mutas, these Phoenix aren't going to be able to compete. He's trying to fight against this. He's doing some very nice micro on the left. He's going to push in both sides at the same time. The Ling counterattack is huge.
It is, and the Zell swapped in, but with the upgraded Lings, it's actually not enough, and he has to send some more over there. At the same time, Probe is going to march into that natural start, zapping down that hatchery, and he's got his air army up in Demi's grill as well. The air army of Demi not quite brave enough to come and contend with that just yet. That is a lot of Phoenixes. It's 16 on the map, and it is a little bit difficult to commit to attacking that area. He's sort of using this air army to keep him at bay, but with all these Corruptors, he can't be quite so brave. The Stalkers blink forward, and he gets underneath them. Is this actually going to be enough to take out this air force?
That's so many Corruptors and Mutas coming in. The Stalkers and Colossi are getting wrecked by the Mutalist count, and there's just too many Corruptors. The Banelings roll in as well, and that's going to be all she wrote here for Probe. Just a couple of Phoenix left, so little money in the bank. Yeah, Demi took a big hit, but Demi's got that center right base. The Phoenix are going to spot it on the retreat and realize just how far behind he is economically. Probe not going to tap out just yet. He's still got the 4th base up. He's trying to reprobe, but he's got to do some guerrilla warfare to stay in this game. He's got to somehow keep Demi at home, and that's a lot of Ling Bane moving down the left-hand side of the map. If those Banelings connect in the center of the Zealots, that base is gone, and with it, Probe will be out of the game.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot left to help himself out here. 64 drones to 46 probes, and still a huge air army for Demi. Nice catches there by Probe on the left-hand side. He's going to send a bunch of Zealots up there as well, and the Phoenixes are going to head over to the other side of the map. If he can keep those Phoenixes alive and keep utilizing them to pick off drones and units and mutas here and there where where opportunity presents itself, maybe he can get something done. Because to be honest, he has been trading, like, he's lost less than Demi, but his economy is just so bad. It's so hard to keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, the Corruptor count is still so scary. Equal Corruptors to Phoenix, plus 19 meters on top of that, and a couple of Banelings are going to roll in as well, trying to find the juicy probes. Probe is looking for an angle, but oh, this could be nasty. Plus 2 melees being done for ages. 7 probe kills, not bad.
Yep, Baby Zeld's getting cleaned up by a bunch of lings over here. The force is now going to move towards that center base and see if they can work some magic. Phoenix is at the ready because he knows that air army won't be too far behind. He's going to start targeting down a couple of mutas, gets a few and gets out. But the Corruptors are here now too, and that makes it real difficult. No Stalker support this time. A lot of those Corruptors are a bit bruised, but my goodness, it's just so much in the air for Demi.
Yeah, and that's it. I feel like Demi probably could have moved across the map a while ago with this Air Force, just because there's nothing that shoots up. It's just, you know, just the Phoenix, and the Phoenix are outgunned. They're outnumbered right now. The upgrades are ahead 2-1 for the Sky Zerg, only +1 for the Protoss. And that adds up a lot. Notice how the Phoenix are stacking nicely, but realistically, the Corruptors are just such a beefy unit. Each one way more hit points and armor. 13 probes just went down in the bottom left. That's why we love watching with this overlay, because a single Baneling that we miss on the minimap can slide in, and just like that, a ton of probes can go down. These Phoenix here trying to intercept the Baneling. Zealot counters on all sides. But Demi's all over it.
He is. Demi's covering himself so well. The defense is being great on his part. And so is the aggression. Anytime that he can, he is over there trying to punish Probe for daring to move out, for doing this harassment. And it's an admirable job by Probe as well to try and stay so active and pick up whatever he can, constantly harass. And, you know, he's still alive. He's still in the game. It's just still not looking that good for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is 20 Phoenix versus 13 Corruptors now, and he's actually killing the Hydras as they come out one at a time. So I feel like this Hydra swap is premature. I think you need more Corruptors here, but the Phoenix are taking a lot of damage from the spores here. These Corruptors are diving in, starting to engage. The Phoenix are somewhat cornered. I feel like Demi's just got to jump on this. He's got to force the fight, and he's got to force it now. He's starting to take some good trades. His mutas are on the other side of the map. The Phoenix is going to try and come back to get back to them. Lings on the bottom left. Oh, massive damage. Mutas on the third at the same time. Where do you run to? There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide. The Phoenixes have actually recalled back home, or at least they've flown home, and missed the Phoenixes. The Phoenixes are going to lose a few. The mutas are going to lose a few on the way home, but not enough for it to really matter. This has been a pretty terrible position for Probe for a while. He's fought hard, but I think it's only a matter of time now. You know, Demi, he just doesn't want to take a bad fight offensively, but realistically, he could have pushed a long time ago. There's just not enough Protoss on the map. No,
there's not. And now he's getting a nice number of Hydras up as well. The mutas are getting trimmed from the flock pretty nicely, but man, Probe just cannot take a head-to-head engagement here, and tries he might to target down those Corruptors. They fall very, very slowly. And it is making it difficult for Probe to be out here too, because as soon as he tries to engage, look at that, the mutas swoop down towards the south. He's in the third base at the moment. Zealots get taken out here at the north. And
even catches some High Templar there as well. So great play by Demi, and I mean, I gotta give my take my hat off to him, because how often do you see Muta Corruptor in this day and age of StarCraft? It's super rare, but at first I thought, hey, he's doing this because he knows it's Colossi somehow. Just, you know, he saw, of course, Pro play Colossi before. I mean, it is perfect. It's ideal against a robotic support bay play. But it kind of felt like maybe he was just planning to do it anyway, because remember, he didn't even have a Hydra Den earlier on in this game. It was just +2 melee Ling Bane straight into Spire. And just like, let's get a ton of Corruptors and Mutas out, get over there and start doing counterattacks, running around and win that air war. I gotta say, it's definitely not the first time I've seen Probe struggle with his Colossi style in these tournaments. I feel like I very rarely see him win when he plays Colossi against Zerg, but when he plays Storm, his win rate seems to skyrocket. And I don't know if that's just my bias as an observer, seeing patterns where they, it's completely different in his ladder play, maybe. But I definitely do notice he loses a lot more games when he goes Colossi in Challenger.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of success with it. He's across the other side of the map with the Phoenixes doing what he can, but at home he's got nothing to wallop in except 3 Zealots. He's really got to kill that whole army with these Phoenixes, but it's too much. GG, and a brilliant game from Demi there. Very commanding. Takes the first map.
Yeah, really nice play there from Demi. Smooth macro throughout the whole early game. Got right up there. I'm glancing at the workers graph on my screen right now, and it's just so funny because they were so tied neck and neck throughout that game. And then, Demi was at 80, Probe was at 70, and it's like these flat lines, and then you just see Probe's worker line just like plummet so low. When, of course, that big Ling Muter Assault got in his natural, killed the Nexus, got all the probes in the main as well.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, I'm 35 probe Protoss versus 80 drone Zerg. Demi was just all over it from that point.
It was. And what a difference from the first series, which Probe took 2-0. And the first game was like, it was reasonable. It wasn't a stomp or anything. Second one was a lot cleaner for Probe. But Demi this time looks like he had Probe figured out. He's like, no, there's nothing you can do against me, my dude. I am too good right now. And
yeah.
I think that's just a really impressive flick of the switch for Demi to adjust his style to something that puts an end to Probe.
Yeah, I'd like to see Probe definitely go back to Storm or something like that now. Definitely respect this. If Demi's got this style that he's so good with, this Spire play, probably don't want to be opening up with the heavy Robo Colossi play. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he looks at that game and he says, no, I'm going to play the exact same way, and I'm just going to, wall off my natural, not let you in there. If I don't let you on my probe line, if I have just a few more Phoenix out, I know I can take you on, I can fight that. But it's definitely like dicey, right? We saw what happens with Phoenix versus Corruptors. If they have enough that you can't just kind of engage them with the Phoenix, then it's like, oh, my Phoenix kind of gets zoned out and don't really achieve anything, and the Mutas and the Lings start just massacring everything. But if there was just a few more Phoenix in that first engage, I think it's a different game.
Absolutely. Could have gone the other way. We'll see if Probe can make that happen this time. We are now in Lost and Found for the second match between these two guys. This guy in the bottom left. Can he get the 2-0 revenge? This is Demi.
And up here in the top right, one of the favorites, the most consistent player in recent years in the region, it is Probe. And remember, of course, this is a match for seeding. Both players have qualified to the next stage. Today is the open qualifier day. So for anyone who's just tuned into the broadcast, isn't familiar with the format, basically it's an open qualifier. The top 14 do go through to day 2, where they join the 2 players who were our representatives at WCS Valencia previous WCS season, Hut and Cedar. So we've already figured out everyone that is going to be going through to join them, but we are playing out the last few spots to see who gets the absolute best seeds. Of course, the seeding is what we use to distribute the bracket. The higher your seed, you're going to be playing against the lower seeded players. So the higher your seed, the less chance of running into the best guys. It definitely is important. It makes a big difference in what your run's going to look like tomorrow. Tomorrow is where the money is. Tomorrow is where those 2 qualifying spots at WCS Montreal are to be won.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the big things about these brackets, especially when there's a lot of players signing up, is that sometimes we do see a lot of forfeits because people kind of get to top 16. They're like, yeah, you know what? Not super interested in getting much further than this, or they're content with their seeding, and so they'll like cheese, or they'll play a build they maybe wouldn't usually play. Some people just kind of tap out, which is not something that we like too much, because we always like to see the maximum amount of games that we can. But
yeah,
this time, people seem to really put in the effort. I mean, we're here right through to the end, because there's a lot of scary plays in that bracket. I feel like no matter where you end up, you're going to be like, oh gosh, dang it, I have to play that guy.
Exactly. And I feel like no one had any mercy today either.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're waiting a few hours. Like if you kind of make it through to the semis, then you lose, you got to wait in the lower bracket. players haven't been waiting at all. Every match, every series has been brutally quick. We haven't really had any long, drawn-out ones where it's like, a couple half-hour games. No way. I don't know if we've seen a game that's gone past the 12 or 13-minute mark today.
Yeah, not really. It has been pretty quick. So maybe this series will continue that trend, or maybe we'll get a longer game or two out of it, which would be nice, to be honest. Actually, an interesting stat about these guys. Demi actually has a 40% win rate against Probe, so he hasn't quite even the score yet. But the way he's been playing, I have a lot of faith that might look quite different in about a month or two.
Yeah.
With the amount of skill that he's been showing and finesse in his play.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Probe mixing it up a little bit. Knowing Probe, PVZ, rock solid standard. He's just gonna try and find a nice way to get to the later stages in the most calm and measured way possible. This time the Phoenix finds the Overlord a little bit quicker. Demilove once again playing the dance of let's try and hide the Overlord from the hungry Phoenix. But Probe's Phoenix always seems to find its mark. Is going to be going for at least one Oracle. Second Gateway's on the way, and I'm curious to see if that second Oracle queues up in a moment. And no, looks like we are probably just going to be seeing, I think, a Robo go down, and then a Twilight and the Archon charge. Like, oh my lord.
Hello.
Hello. All right. I mean,
It's like a Robo.
it's interesting as well, because this is really good versus Roach play. But we've seen Ling Bane in the last game from Demi, but no, yeah, so that's interesting. Going to be going 2 Stargate Phoenix, I think, to get some momentum. Second Oracle does queue up now as well, so all right. Sky Protoss, let's go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like this because this is the Probe of old. And actually, I recall games between like you and Probe that we were casting that went forever because it was just that super totally style on both sides.
Oh my lord,
And
though.
Probe is a guy that I used to remember as very much a Sky Toss kind of player. He's long departed from that sort of that style and that meta, but it's cool to see him change it up and actually go for several oracles.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see like 15 oracles into carriers and mass cannons, aren't we? Oh my lord, picks up the queen with the energy. The other ones don't have any transfuse energy, but he pulls back. He could have taken that queen out there. Bit of hesitation there from Probe, missed out on an opportunity.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. No one really does that mass oracle dealio much anymore, so people kind of don't expect that that's what they're gonna get smacked by. How many has he shown? Has he only shown the 2 so far?
Yeah, just the standard 2. So I reckon when he gets to 6 or 8, he'll dive in, maybe snipe down a ton of drones, and then see if he can get the 4th base on the back of it. This is so powerful. I mean, this was never a weak strategy. You know, this is one of these things that it goes in and out of fashion. Like you said, we haven't seen it a lot in a while, but there was like a period of like a year where Haas just did this every game. Every Protoss first Zerg over and over and over again. And he won a lot of games with it. This is just such a hilarious style when it starts working, because it's hard to get the ball rolling, but once it starts rolling, it is so hard to stop. It's just like rolling a boulder downhill. These oracles are so fast, and there we go. Already 2 queens going down. Probe still hasn't even shown the extra oracles and already taking out anti-air. That's massive.
It is, and that's going to be really rough for Demi because now the rest of the squad looks like it's ready to go, and he's going to group those up and basically just like target everything in sight. Now that Ling probably caught the edge of some of those.
Yeah, might have.
He's going to get taken out.
Demi's supply blocked right now, though. Only has 8 Hydras and 3 Queens. And this is 8 Oracles coming in. Wait, that's 9 Oracles. A 10th one rallying across as well. Lasers! Just going to land all over that base. The Spore Crawler disappears. The drone count taking a lot of damage. He's going to engage on the Hydras. He does. The Hydra's trying to pull behind the Spore Crawler, but the focus fire from Probe is so good. The Hydras just disappear there.
Yeah. Targeting down the Spore again there. Now he's got free reign of that mineral line. The Queen is going to go down as well, and he can just keep zapping 1,000,001 workers. GG right there from Demi. Oh my goodness.
I told you, right? Once the ball gets rolling.
Yeah, good luck to you, man. If you didn't see that coming, you have no hope.
That's
just too
yeah.
violent of a build.
Oh my lord, it's just something comical about it as well, right? Because it's such a weak unit individually against air unit, but if you can hide it, it's like they're so bad once there's a certain amount of anti-air or like any splash damage, like fungal or anything. But there's this sweet spot where if the person doesn't realize what they're up against, they just roll in and everything falls apart in a matter of seconds. So I said I wanted Probe to mix it up. I said he wouldn't. I said he was just going to sit there and turtle to late game. Thank you, Probe. This is what I wanted to see. Bring out some more memes, please. Some more hilarious plays. Because, I mean, it keeps Demi Love guessing. And Probe is a guy, everyone goes up against him in these tournaments, and they go, this is the guy we've been studying. I know I've got to beat him if I want to qualify. I've got set prepared builds. I know what he's doing. I know what works against it. Throw a bit of craziness in there. Their preparation goes out the window. Suddenly, Demi Love, he's got to adapt on the fly now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he got caught with his pants down there, unfortunately. So short and sweet game once again, but we got our game 3, and that's the most important thing. It's going to be on Redshift to see who is going to emerge the victor and go up to the grand finals, which is the best of 5 against me and Micah, who is also a very challenging opponent. So it's a hard day, I should say, to actually just fight for your seeding. Goodness.
Yeah, there's no freebies here. And Redshift as well, a great way to finish it off. We've seen a lot of Redshift today. It seems like it's always Dreamcatcher or Redshift map 3. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Probe's going to do it, but I'd love to see him push a Probe through the minerals on the back of the expansion, sneak that into the back of the base of Demi and get some sort of surprise cannon rush going or something. I don't know. I just want to see some madness. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to have heard you last game. Yeah, because I don't think anyone really expects Probe to cannon them, right? So he is a guy that's safe to like hatch first, delay it, get that gas first, then get the pool. We've even seen a 3 hatch before pool against him. So yeah. I mean, Mio got away with that. So let's see how it goes. We are going to be launching into this next map here, where everything is going to be decided. Up here in the top left-hand side in the red, the Protoss player. It's Probe, representing Legacy. And in the bottom left, in the blue, he is Demi. Really well. And the gateway coming down from Probe. He'll visit his friendo for a bit of a scout. Probably wants to keep an eye on that gold base.
Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting to see if Demi goes for the gold as the 3rd on this map. I think it's very tempting, right? As a natural, it's hard to defend, but as a 3rd, it's definitely something you can get going, especially if you're playing sort of like an aggressive Roach Hydra Lurker style, where you're already the one who's out on the map positioning everywhere. So curious to see if Demi's willing to take that risk.
Yep. Gas and pool coming down, and then he'll finally be able to get some lings out on the map. Hopefully deflect any sort of adept pressure that Probe sends at him and get a bit of a better scout this time. Because he's actually been really, really good with the vision on the map itself, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to actually get inside the Protoss base and see what the tech is, which is really what his downfall was last time. He's like, oh, Stargate, cool, I can relax, I know what he's doing. Yeah. Then he could never quite get the follow-up to confirm, okay, what's the next step? And that's really what killed him.
He kept trying as well, right? There was like 2 overseers, I think, that tried to fly in, and each time the Phoenix caught it, the Stalkers were warped in specifically to kill it, which in of itself seemed a little bit suspect, I guess, in hindsight. You're like, hey, did he just warp in a second Stalker at the front to kill my overseer? This is weird. But I think it's one of those things where you've got to, if your opponent's open Phoenix or even a single Phoenix, sending those overseers in from these unsuspecting angles, right? Come in from these weird sides, or not just that, sometimes even just coming out with like a bit of a ling flood or something like a 20-30 ling pressure to try and cancel a 3rd. might force some of those oracles to come out and show themselves. So sometimes just by being aggressive, you force your opponent to use their tech to defend, and that helps you out. But we're far away from that point just yet. For now, Demi does have his Overlord right in the main base, so not afraid of an early Stalker, has seen the Stargate, and knows exactly what he's up against. So no doubt going to be a Phoenix first once again, and Demi has opted for the more conservative third base location. So both players not wanting to take any risks here in game number 3.
Yep, pretty chill. Let's see what that Stargate can get done. He's going to opt for the Phoenix first this time round. Again, that'll help him deny a little bit of scouting, but you know, there's only really the one Overlord in his base at present. It's not really that many other Overlords out on the map for the moment. And Demi kind of keeping things chill, getting that third base at the non-gold. Making a few more lings for a bit more of a scout. He may be able to park one at each of the potential third bases for probe as well. I think who knows what's going on. But other than that, keen to see what his tech will be, because he seems to be liking the more light unit heavy approach now.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where this one goes, because the players are about to start making their decisions in the next minute. And speaking of decisions, Zeph, what's... What? What?
Fleet bacon? Could it be?
Is that, like... I actually am a bit surprised. As much as I'm joking, two base carrier? There's only one there's a second, it's two base. Can it be two base carrier? And then the gold base, surely. It's going to be two base carrier with the gold base.
It must be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Probe can be crazy, but he's not that crazy.
I'm like...
Need a third.
Yeah, I mean, Tempests don't make sense. And, like, I guess the thing is, normally you'd go for the third, then you'd go for the carrier transition. But I think it makes sense here because your third is kind of inside your base, right? It's Tempest?
Okay, that's not what I expected. Okay.
Okay, it was a hotkey misclick. Thankfully, no, and then he just canceled the carrier upgrade to start a third Nexus. Okay, that makes sense. All right, he's not trolling me. For a second, I thought Probe either his brain had exploded or he said, I don't care about seeding. I actually want a lower seed. Let's build Tempest and run across the map and just, like, you know, it's the worst unit outside of the specific role of sniping down massive ranged units from massive flyer units from afar. Like, if there is one unit which is only good in one specific scenario, it is the Tempest, and this is not that scenario. So thankfully, carriers are now on the way. A Forge as well. The Oracle comes in and pokes around. A lot of this is going to come down to Demi's scouting. People talk always about how do you defend Skytoss. Well, the answer is always you need to know about it early enough. And right now, Roaches, Roach Speed, these aren't things that shoot up. They're not what you want against someone going Skytoss. So there's a great Zergling coverage, but that isn't necessarily going to see the fact that this carrier is building up in the base. And this time around, Demi's not even trying to get Overseers in there, building even more Roaches right now as well. Oof. That's not looking too good for Demi if he doesn't get wind of this.
Yeah. You don't want to overinvest in something that's kind of going to kill you on its own. He's not going to have the right amount of stuff. And he keeps sort of redistributing lings out here to see what's maybe coming at him, but he really hasn't seen any investment into gas units aside from these two Stargate units. Like, it's just,
Overseer on the warpath.
He's gonna find him though.
I mean, this Stalker and the cannons, maybe. But that doesn't tell you. I mean, it could just be because it's the gold base that there's cannons. But Demi's got to realize there's something super weird going on. 100%.
Yeah, it's a good map to do weird stuff too. And it looks like he may be just going for a bit of aggression. 5 more spores are coming down. A bit of PTSD, the poor thing.
Oh, wow. I think he's thinking about Mass Oracle. Oh, man. And the Roaches are going to come across. You need to wall off Probe. Probe really needs to build another Cybercore right now. I don't think cannons are going to finish in time. Probe needs to wall off right now and needs more sentries here. Oh, wow. That Cybercore is going down already. Yep. I think the Roaches should dive there, though. I don't think it's the right call to back off as Demi here. These Roaches aren't useful later. 2 carriers don't kill Roaches that quickly. but wants to keep them alive. And I think now with the third carrier out, now with the wall being rebuilt, that's going to buy a lot more time here for Probe. Yeah, if you want to go, you've got to commit hard as Demi. You can't go in and out like this. Killing a gateway doesn't help you out very much. So Demi's going to back off and try to transition. Has a good economy, but it's a long way away from having the correct tech and upgrade. So I think Demi here has to play a very slow game. I would actually say go to 100 drones as Demi and start building 400 spore crawlers, infestors, corruptors, vipers, the whole works. I think you've got to drag this game out because you're not going to break through a wall of cannons and carriers in the next few moments.
No. And even if you do have that 100 drone economy, gosh, you have to lose a lot to gain a lot in those engagements. It is just, it feels unstoppable. And it's hard to come up with the right composition of units and get the right point of engagement, hopefully over some spores or something, to actually start culling the numbers there. Maybe one of his best bets is to try and hit the bases before that number gets too high. You know, take out some probes, take out a nexus. But even that's going to be difficult with the amount of cannons that are going to be coming down.
It's interesting because I have seen a few Zergs. There's not many. Stefano and Cyril are the two who come to mind who I have confidence in actually to beat Skytoss in the late game. I have no idea if Demi's tried to play the same styles they do with heavy infester usage, lots of spores, but those I've found are always reliant on covering the map in creep. So I think Demi is doing the right thing with the expansions, with a large economy. I think the economy needs to be actually larger, but Demi's actually building 17 corruptors, and that tells me Demi's going to hit a timing here. But with only 77 drones, I say only 77, which tells us how weird and specific this scenario is with late game Skytoss. But you're not going to be able to remax and just throw wave after wave wastefully. Yeah, and now more drones on the way. That tells me Demi is not being decisive enough here. See, corruptors are good when the fights actually happen. The Protoss probably isn't going to push you for quite a long time. Right now, Probe is actually being very ballsy pushing out here, especially with no Void Rays in the mix or Psystorm. And these corruptors are actually going to find the engagement. Demi was hoping for this. You've got to recall. Probe is just fighting in the open. What's going on? You can't take this engagement as Probe. This is madness. But he's continuing to take it, and the corruptors taking a fantastic trade. But they do fall back there. A couple of carriers survived. I think 2 went down. I think it would have been worth sacrificing a few more corruptors to take down 2 or 3 more. But now he's got warning. He can just go straight into some Void Rays to help flesh out this anti-corruptor. Is Probe just going to disrespect the corruptors and just not even bother?
Well, we'll find out. He's got 2 more Stargates coming. He's continuing to pump out those upgrades. And Demi, likewise, continuing to expand. Want to see him keep pushing that creep out. As you mentioned, it is halfway up the map. But the more ground you have to reroute those spores and build extra is always going to help. He's just going to head up here with a bunch of Lings, Roaches, and 3 Hydras. I don't think he's going to be able to get much done. But at least he's forcing her to pay attention to him and keeping him sort of honest, I guess. He's going to swoop up with the Corruptors again. It looks like he's trying to fish for that moment where he can pick off a carrier or 2 and then retreat again.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. There we go. 1 carrier does go down. Nice little snipe off there. I'd love to see Demi dive on top of the Stargates because there's carriers rallying out. Void Rays are finally coming out. The scary thing for Demi is the air upgrades. Single Spire for Demi up against double Cybernetic score. When 2-2 finishes, the upgrade lead on the air units is going to be monstrous. And only now does the second Spire start up. Also, Templar Archives is almost done. As Storm gets added into this, that's the cherry on top of the Skytoss cake for the Protoss player. That's what's going to allow him to really do well. Wow, shield batteries and cannons buy a lot of time, even against this army. And the Roaches and Hydras kind of looking to sacrifice off some of the Roaches, I think, here for sure, but doesn't want to just trade too badly. Going to try and bait out these carriers. The Roach Hydra here doing a good job, trying to pull him into the open. The carrier's turning around. They're going to try and fight there. The Void Rays prismatically aligned, but these Corruptors taking down these carriers so fast, just barely short of the number needed to one-shot a carrier. But still, look at those numbers falling for Probe. Just not enough of Void Rays to help them up. And wow, look at the supply.
Demi's looking good, and this is how you deal with this Protoss army. You just gotta throw stuff at it, pick off what you can, try and take good trades. He's getting a second Spire, so hopefully he can pump out some good upgrades. But, yeah, he's taken the right steps towards being able to do this. More and more Void Rays getting added in, and Storm has now started. But he's still at a point where he is able to pick off bits and pieces. He wants to come in to his base again, but Probe is going to babysit that for the moment. Maybe the top right is a better option for Demi, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might be worth rotating up there at this point. When Storm hits the field, this is going to turn upside down because there's already 6 Void Rays out, and this is an almost pure Corruptor commitment from the Zerg. So Corruptors are great against low counts of Void Rays and against no Psystorm, right? They're great against the carriers, essentially, and small numbers of Void Rays. Psystorm can massacre them. If they're not pre-spread, then they do really poorly against that. And look at this. Here we go. Probe pushing forward. Doesn't quite have any Psystorm in there. There's 2 High Templar. Psystorm is finally finished. And I think he's just going to have to give up this base in the top right. For now, Probe just needs to keep working on the composition. Because you should identify as the Protoss player at this point, there are no spellcasters. Ooh, is actually going to recall up to that top right-hand side.
Oh. Okay. Well.
But yeah, no Zerg spellcasters here is the thing I wanted to point out there. And if there's no spellcasters, you know, if you can get enough Void Rays to deal with the Corruptors, enough Psystorm, you will win every fight if you don't mess up the micro. It's only the Infestors and the Vipers and the Sporkrils that can turn that around. So it's all about the Psystorm. Here we go. The Void Ray is going to land their overcharge. They do. The Prismatic Alignment. The Storm is huge. The Corruptors have got to bail out of there. The Psystorms massacring the Corruptors. And that is what I was talking about. That is where the Corruptors suddenly aren't as useful. Demi doesn't even try to remax. He just taps out with 3.5k minerals and 2,000 gas in the bank. Just realizes Probe had all the pieces he needed.
Yeah. That's a rough thing to play against, but very nicely executed by Probe, and he will take the 2-1 at the end of the day in the lower bracket there, and he gets to go up once again against Mia Micah.
That's going to be good. I want that rematch. I want that rematch, especially after how dominating that Dreamcatcher game was with the Corruptors flying in. And I mean, there's nothing sadder than a couple of sentries trying to defend Colossi from Corruptors. Yeah. I know Probe wants his revenge for that game. So this is really exciting. Probe had to meme his way out against Demilove, and now he's going to beat the meme master himself, Mio Micah. So pulling out the unorthodox strategies, you know, Probe not known for his sky toss at all, but he brought it out and it won him a bunch of games there really nicely. So now he goes into that that match there.
Yep, he certainly does, and I am definitely looking forward to that. It's been a long day for these guys, and they've shown a lot of their hands.
Right? The bracket was wrong. Probe just won. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
The bracket was wrong there. Okay, no worries.
Oh, good.
I'm like, oh my god, I'm not crazy, right?
No, I second guess myself a lot. I'm like, wait, did that what? Start doubting myself, but it's all good. Yeah.
There we go.
Probe's got the 2-1. We'll go up against Mia Micah for the final game of the day, and it's going to be a best of 5. I believe Mia Micah should lead 1-0, because he has the advantage from being in the upper bracket and winning all those matches up there. So he's had a nice rest. Hopefully it will be a good game. Shout out once again to Maggers for supporting our scene here in the WCS Challenger. And we're going to go and take a quick break and then come back with the final match of the day. Hope you've been enjoying the stream so far, and we'll be back soon.